Here we go. The 49ers Report is live here on Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. Today's live show, as we are locked and loaded once again, going live on call-in after this. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on YouTube and Rumble as well. Is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They're changing the cell phone game on America's largest 5G network, which really spans as long as Trey Lance's long ball to Brandon Ayuk, which we have seen alive and well throughout training camp. Head to mintmobile.com/chatsports to start saving money today. Their plan starting as low as $15, unlimited talk and text, and really just the best deal out there today during a time when a lot of people are trying to save some money. We'll get the official show started in about 10 minutes or so, but first, it's all about you, the faithful, the Niner gang, the Niner Empire, and the real ones. Where is the Niner gang hanging out right now? We're coming to you live once again from the Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas. Not in Santa Clara from training camp, because if we were there, we wouldn't be able to give you the content like we want to be able to give you the content. So we are coming to you live from the Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I see Chua Lure is here, Jamie Bryant, Steve Cass, Byron McCants, BK from the Bay. Jamie saying, it's the GOAT Chase. Nah, Jamie, you're the GOAT. Sup 49er faithful, Union City in the house from Adam. You love to see it. Gaming with Nate. He's in Fresno, California. Jamie Bryant in Virginia. Producer Coop on the ones and twos, making the show happen. My boy Patrick Seatman also running community. He's the ones throwing the links in the chat. And then everybody behind the scenes at Chat Sports, always willing to lend a helping hand as well. Raj, Niner Empire from Vancouver, so we've gone international already. Little Rock, Arkansas, BK from the Bay. Tulsa from Rogue Goose. What up, Chase from Kurt Johnson, NAA. What up, man? Philadelphia from Rodney Coleman. Grew up in Westchester. Shout out to 610-484 and the 215. Reno, Nevada from Justin Brown. Virginia Beach, Byron. Tempe, Arizona from Mario. Also, we're going to do a real one roll call. If you're subscribed to the 49ers Report and you absorb and consume our content and you tune in every single day since we give you free content on the daily basis, I want you to type real one. If you're red and gold till you're dead and cold, also type real one in the chat. You already know what the deal is. Let's see where the real ones are at. Real one, roll call. Let's ride. Montana from Mayday. Russell Hill is in Huntington, West Virginia. Dion, what up, Chase? What up, Dion? Moreno Valley, California. SoCal from Ryan Payne. Here the real ones are starting to come in. Chua, Fernando, Willie Harris, Gaming with Nate, Jamie Bryant, Daniel Buck, Steve Cass, Las Vegas, home of the Traders. I like that. Let's see. BK, Dave in the Desert, Daniel, Wet Noodle 187, Rodney, Mayday, Ellis 10, Mr. Reaper, the homie Wet Noodle, Antonio, Steve, Benai, Dale, Byron McCants, real one all day, baby. Yes, you love to see it. LS10 also throwing in that fire emoji. Ice Fool, real one, South Dakota. Good stuff right there from the faithful. Who has impressed you the most throughout training camp? Another question that I have for the homies, the real ones, those members of the faithful. Give me a name. Is it Charvarius Ward, who's been fantastic? Trey Lance, too, continues to be steady. Who has impressed you the most throughout training camp? Why do I ask that? Because later on today's show, coming up right around the corner, in fact, 49ers training camp winners and losers, as we are more than a week in to 49ers practice. Trey Lance from Chua. Real one we out here from Christian. Dante Tobin. What up, Chase? What up, Dante? South Carolina in the house from Adrian. BK from the Bay saying defense. That's good. Ayuk and Trey's chemistry from Mr. Reaper. Bang Bang Niner Gang, Jamie Bryant, George Kittle, Ryan Payne sending in a $2 super chat. Yes, sir. Actually going to ask Seeps to get me a beer because the super chats are coming in and I'm down to spend my happy hour with our loyal subscribers here because we're real ones. Also, Coop, just of note, I put some of those custom L3s that we discussed earlier. You can kind of filter throughout those on the show today. Here is Adam's super chat. He just sent in $2. Didn't need to say anything. He's just being a loyal subscriber and supporting everything that we're doing. Panani, hopefully I pronounced it right one of the 2 times. Barson, California. What's up, Chase? What's good? Giving me that emoji. Hang loose. Hellas 10. Ayuk. Shotgun baby from Gaming with Nate. How about this? It's been a while since I've done a shotgun on the 49ers report. $50 super chat. And I will shotgun a beer. Yes, I will. I will shotgun a beer for a $50 super chat. Any real hitting in training camp? There was a fight today. There was a fight today between Brandon Ayuk and Fred Warner. Thank you, Seeps. That actually happened. And it was a little bit of a scuffle because Fred Warner's been getting under the skin of Brandon Ayuk, and finally tempers boiled over. He had enough, and he said, you know what, I'm not dealing with this any longer. So there was a little bit of a beef there. The pads came on Monday, so there's been some physicality. Dion, a real one. Adrian Pickney, a real one. Trey and Charvarius Ward from Jamie Bryant, both worthy of that status. Ellis 10, Chase Sr., I'll sip with you, sir. I have 805 peso, Robles, California. That's where he's tuned in from. With that super chat that came in, cracking a beer. And I know Gaming with Nate, he said, shotgun time? I'll shotgun a beer for a $50 super chat. That's the deal. So whoever wants to donate, give us $50, I'll shotgun.
Can we make a compromise?
What's the compromise?
How about 50 total in super chats? You shotgun.
Okay, 50 total in super chats. We'll make the compromise there. It's still a slow part of the offseason, if we want to call it the offseason. So, yeah, producer Coop on the mic there. He said, if we get the $50 super chats just in total, then I'll shotgun a beer. How about that? That is the deal for the faithful. We'll continue to plug that all throughout the show. Another reminder, as we do every single week that we go live on YouTube and Rumble, we will be going live on Call-In for another podcast. This one is really primarily going to be about the audience. I want to take as many calls as possible. So that's really going to be the focus of the show today on Call-In. Oftentimes, we do a segment and we take some calls, but for this one, just want to take a lot of your calls. So make sure you download the app. I know a couple of you have said that in the comment section that you downloaded Call-In. It's like Twitter Spaces, but even better, live interactive podcast where I have an opportunity to take your calls. It's basically the 2022 Sports Talk Radio show. Absolutely awesome. You see the link down below. The show link is being peppered in the chat, and then you can download the app on your iPhone and your Android as well. Daniel Morris, he's trying to get us to $50. $5. He said shotgun. Again, in case you're just joining us, we're now up to $7 in super chats. Now, one $50 super chat, one $100 super chat, and I'll do like a couple of shotguns, and I'll bring some homies in here. But the point here being, we get the $50 in super chats. I guarantee you I'll shotgun a beer. It's going to be a quick one as well. So, Mayday, I like that compromise. Cool. So, we have $7. We're $43 away. Somebody can just make me do a shotgun with one simple super chat, or we can build our way up to that slowly. Also going to be doing a mailbag on the show, on the YouTube segment. So for you to get involved, to get your questions answered, please use the hashtag 49ers. That allows producer Coop to see your questions, and he'll put them up on the screen. Or better yet, your super chats from here on out will now be featured on the show as well. Daniel Morris just sent in one for the shotgun. We're trying to build to that $50. $50 in super chats. We're shotgunning beers and we're partying together because I know there are a bunch of real ones and real dogs in the comment section watching the show today. So hashtag 49ers or super chat. You can honestly, like Chua Lore always does, or like Julian Ross just did, you can get your questions in starting right now. Send it in, hashtag 49ers or super chat to join our mailbags. More than 100 people watching live, more people continuing to pile in after receiving that notification. If you're ready to start the show, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Ellis10 just sent in another $5 super chat. We can pop that up as well before we take a look at the show docket. So now we have $12 in super chats. 100, I'm doing 2 back-to-back shotguns, okay? And $50 super chat, I'll do 1 shotgun in total if we get there combined. So LS10 with this. Let's get this shotgun donation going, gents, and ladies, of course. So we're going to build our way to $50, and I always have a good feeling. The faithful likes to show up and show out. Okay, 37 likes. We'll start the show once we get to 50. So 13 more people, just smash that thumbs up icon and like the video. As for what we're discussing on the program today, all of the latest 49ers news and rumors. There was a training camp fight today between Brandon Ayuk and Fred Warner. We'll discuss that a little bit once the show gets started. Training camp winners and losers is where we're going to start. We're going to do a mailbag taking all of your questions and all of your best takes. We're up to $42 right now in Super Chats, by the way. BK from the Bay with 20, Daniel Morris with 10. And then after our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up, we'll be going live on Call-In, and hopefully I'll be coherent enough to be talking on the podcast for a half hour straight, taking your calls and talking about 49ers training camp. But you saw the super chat from Daniel Morris. That was the 10 spot. And then BK from the Bay with 20. What does that mean? We are $8 away from $50 in Super Chats, and I believe we're going to get there because the official show hasn't even started yet, and we're about to eclipse that number. And again, $100, I'm doing 2 shotties. So cheers for now to Daniel Morris and BK from the Bay. Ellis10 throwing in another 5. We got to show that as well. We're $3 away from 50 in Supers, and we haven't even started the show. Ellis10 just said this. Producer Coop is about to put it up on the TV because he said, let's get this shotgun parade going, gents. And I said, and ladies. And Ellis10, he wants to be a well-rounded dude, right? He said, and ladies as well. So a beer chug for all the supers that came in. Updated count, 3 bones away from 50. And then we're shotgunning a beer. Ah, man, this is good stuff already. Shotgun that bitch from Shylock. We're about to do it. You want to contribute to the fund, Shylock? We can get it on and popping. 50 likes. We're racking up super chats. We're about to talk Niners training camp winners and losers. Dave in the Desert just sent in a 10-piece. Let's do that after this first segment. Dave in the Desert got us past 50. So we'll shotgun the beer after this segment, and because we got to now $57 in supers, we will be able to shotgun a beer. We get to 100, I'm shotgunning 2. Niner Gang, Niner Empire, San Francisco. Let's ride. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming your way on today's show, we're more than a week into 49ers training camp with preseason coming up not long in the distance. So it's the perfect time to take a look at some 49ers training camp winners and losers. First, though, shout out to Mint Mobile for making the 49ers Report today possible. They're changing the cell phone game with plans as little as $15 per month on America's largest 5G network, which also includes unlimited talk and text. I've seen a lot of you in the comment section saying, I made the switch to Mint Mobile. I've been able to save a lot of money and the coverage is great. I've been able to do the same. You want to be like us and start saving cash? Head to mintmobile.com/chatsports to start saving today. We begin, of course, with our winners so far up to this point in training camp. And honestly, we could talk about Charvarius Ward, and then it's everybody else who might be a winner. 5 winners and a couple of losers as well, but Charvarius Ward by far and away has made a splash. It looks as though this is money well spent for the San Francisco front office because he has played like, he has performed like a true number 1 lockdown cornerback up to this point in training camp. Rarely giving up receptions, coming through with multiple interceptions up to this point in training camp of Trey Lance, Nate Sudfeld, and he's dazzled throughout this entire offseason. And right now, this San Francisco defense, this San Francisco secondary, looks to be a lot better than it was last year. And when you look at this secondary, you have Ward, Emmanuel Mosley as the bona fide number 1 and 2 options, on top of the fact that this pass rush and this defensive line is as talented and as deep as any in the league. That's going to allow Ward and Mosley and everybody else in this secondary to feast and eat, and so far that has been the case in training camp. So Charvarius Ward, $14 million per year is a steal if he ends up being that true legitimate number one lockdown corner, and up to this point he's been as advertised. And he tweeted this out on Monday: "Loving my new team." Well, Charvarius, given what everybody has said about you, they love you back, and this fan base, once they see you in action, for those not on hand during these practices, they're really going to be a big fan of you and start copping that number 35 jersey. Winner number 2 is Trey Lance. Some might say that this is controversial. Some might say it's about time that Trey Lance is getting some recognition and credit. Now, there are going to be detractors out there, and it's weird that people are so negative when it comes to Trey Lance. I think it comes down to the fact that people just didn't like the draft selection. But Lance has been a winner for a couple of reasons. Why? He's getting much-needed reps with Jimmy Garoppolo doing sprints and some throwing drills on the side field. He was told, Garoppolo was, that he could stay away from the facility if he wanted to. He's elected to stay around to further his rehabilitation process. But he hasn't been on the practice field, and because of that, Trey Lance has reaped those benefits, getting all of the much-needed reps that he needs because the inexperience factor is the biggest concern for him. Day in and day out as well, he is facing a top-tier defense that arguably is the best defense in the National Football League. Can you imagine the rigors of practices every single day going up against this pass rush that has been breathing down the neck of Trey Lance, and the secondary that's been really good, and one of the best and most well-rounded linebacking cores? That makes Trey Lance better, and there's that saying out there, iron sharpens iron. The defense is the iron that's sharpening Trey Lance right now, allowing him to further his development. He's excelled at throwing the deep ball, something that's been missing from this Niners offense the last couple of years because that's just not Jimmy Garoppolo's game. And we've seen Lance make strides forward. Yes, he's made some mistakes, but keep in mind, in these practices, sometimes you're going to try to make a throw that you would not attempt in real game action because you just want to get a feel for what you can do in the tight windows that you can fit the ball in, but the game is starting to slow down for Lance, and because of that, his play is getting a little bit better, and in turn, gaining confidence, making better choices, and also he's been able to gash this defense a little bit once the play breaks down because he's utilizing his legs, something else that Jimmy Garoppolo also doesn't bring this team. So far we've talked about Ward, the free agent acquisition, and the face of the franchise now in Trey Lance, the former number 3 overall pick. Which player are you most excited about this year? It can be one of those two guys. It can be somebody else. Either way, drop me a name in the comment section right now. Brandon Ayuk has also been stellar, partially and mostly because he has that rapport working with Trey Lance. They worked out this offseason in Southern California. They lived together. They trained together, and their connection, it's been on point. He's really developed a good rapport and sense of continuity with the 49ers' new starting quarterback. He's having the best training camp of his career, which is really important for him because he's going into a critical season, is Ayuk. Year 3 for him, former first-round pick. The Niners, after this year, can exercise that fifth-year option to give him that guaranteed money like they did with Nick Bosa. But what Ayuk is trying to do right now, prove that he can be a legitimate go-to wide receiver, and in turn, he can start making some pretty bread as well. And for Ayuk, the potential is certainly there. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent. The rookie year, 11 games played, 60 catches, 748 yards. That's an impressive debut season for him going in the 20s out of Arizona State. And then last year, he was missing from this offense for the first several weeks. Then he really started to find another gear. And you look at the numbers back-to-back years. 748 receiving yards in year 1, 826 in year 2. Goes to show you the arrow is pointing up for Brandon Ayuk, and players on the team are challenging him because they understand that he can be great. That's why him and Fred Warner got in a little bit of a scuffle during practice on Tuesday, because Warner got under his nerves and under his skin, but he sees that Ayuk can be great, and Ayuk has the potential to be that player. Up to this point in training camp, he's been Trey Lance's go-to number 1 option. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the 49ers Report, make sure you do so right now. Over the last couple of weeks, we've really started to increase our coverage with training camp here. Just hit that red subscribe button for free daily videos covering all of the latest breaking news, analysis, news, and rumors. Once the preseason starts, the regular season is here. We'll be doing watch parties for every single game. And after our YouTube and Rumble shows wrap up every week, we even do live podcasts where you can call into the show on call-in. All reasons why you got to hop on board the movement. And if you're a real one, you're subscribed to the channel right now. Another winner as we shift for the first time to the defensive side of the football, Emmanuel Moseley. All of the hype has been for Charvarius Ward, but he has made Emmanuel Moseley better, and it's made this secondary a really legitimate unit. Last year in 2021 for Moseley, and he's kind of continued this momentum into training camp thus far, no touchdowns allowed in coverage, 11 pass breakups on 74 targets. He had 495 coverage snaps in total and only allowed 33 receiving yards per game. Emmanuel Moseley is a player who's continued to get better. He's gotten into the lab to work on his deficiencies and his weaknesses, and the byproduct of that has been an ascending player whose arrow is pointing up and the trajectory also upward. And again, going back to what I said earlier about Ward, this can be one of the better secondaries in the NFL. Richard Sherman said as much, and he's a football analyst now. Emmanuel Moseley, Charvarius Ward, really excited about this secondary. And with this secondary, all just a big conversation that's going down with this defense right now because some believe that the Niners could be one of the best defensive units in the NFL. Do you think that? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Last winner before we pivot to our losers, Deebo Samuel has to be a winner because he got the deal done just in time for him to put on the pads and start building that kinship with Trey Lance. He had it with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now he's going to be with Lance over the next couple of years following that 3-year extension. And for him to get this deal done, it's important, and he's a winner because he got a lot of guaranteed money. And for San Francisco to get this deal done, they're winners because they get one of the best and most well-rounded offensive players in the league on the field practicing alongside their young quarterback. The deal, 3 years in case you missed it, $71.5 million in total, $58 million in guaranteed money, average annual value less than 24. I think that right there is a steal. What's also interesting is that Deebo's role might be the same as it was a year ago because of the contractual incentives that are in the fine print of this deal. There were rumors when Deebo Samuel made that trade request public that he was unhappy with Kyle Shanahan's usage of him. Doesn't look as though that's the case. Money changes a lot of things. Adam Schefter tweeted this out, that Deebo will receive $650,000 per year for each year he has 380 or more rushing yards. He had a little less than that last year. He'll also earn $150,000 if he scores 3 rushing touchdowns in any year. He surpassed that number last year, so you see the contractual numbers that he maxes out at on a yearly basis. So our training camp winners, about a week and change into practices, Charvarius Ward, Trey Lance, Brandon Ayuk, Emmanuel Moseley, and Deebo Samuel. We'll get to our losers coming up just around the bend, but first, today's sponsor, Mint Mobile. It's a cell phone company owned by the famous actor Ryan Reynolds, and they're flipping the cell phone game on its head and changing the way that people think about these monthly plans, with plans starting as low as $15 per month. Did I mention that it's on America's largest 5G network, which goes coast to coast, kind of like a Trey Lance deep ball, hopefully soon, to Deebo Samuel, unlimited talk and text, high-speed data, a mobile hotspot, and even your parents are going to start to ask you, why are you calling me so much? It's because I get unlimited talk and text. So sign up today and start saving money by heading to mintmobile.com/chatsports. I'll put that link for the faithful in the comment section and the description of this video. So many people are getting hit hard still by the pandemic, inflation, and the after effects of it. You can save some money by using that link down below. Training camp losers now. Now, it's funny because this is our live show on Tuesday, and on Tuesday, during the practice, Danny Gray had his best practice so far as a rookie. But prior to Tuesday's session, he had struggled to beat press coverage, he dropped some catchable passes, and he looked as though he was just a one-trick pony. displaying that 4.3 speed that made him extremely desirable in the pre-draft process, that he ran that 40-yard dash at the NFL Scouting Combine. But before Tuesday, vertical speed was his only plus trait. Is going to have to be a little bit more reliable in terms of catching the football and beating press coverage if he wants to see consistent snaps during the regular season. Daniel Brunskill, another loser along the offensive line here as we go from wide receiver to the trenches. And offensive line as a whole can just be a loser so far in training camp because Trey Lance has been running for his life back there. On Monday's session, he dropped back like 15 times, and he had to scurry out of the pocket 11 or 12 times because this defensive line was generating a lot of pressure. Daniel Brunskill on Tuesday did get some first-team reps at center ahead of Jake Brendel. But up to this point, Brendel primarily has been the number one center, and Brunskill's been getting the second-team center reps, and he hasn't been getting starting right guard reps because Spencer Burford, the fourth-round pick out of UTSA, has been occupying that role. Things can change in a blimp. Things can change very quickly, but Daniel Brunskill a little bit disappointing up to this portion of the offseason programs. Jeff Wilson, our last training camp loser. He missed practice because of an undisclosed injury, and other running backs on this roster have performed better, and because of that, I think Jeff Wilson's status on this roster a little bit in question if he wants to make the 53. That undisclosed injury, not sure what it is up to this point as of this recording, but with him out, Elijah Mitchell getting basically all of the first-team reps up to this juncture. Ty Davis-Price, Trey Sermon, the backups for Elijah Mitchell, they've received meaningful running back reps as well, and I won't be surprised at all if Wilson doesn't make the club. First, he can't make the club from the tub. Two, there's a little bit of a youth movement at that running back spot, and Elijah Mitchell, Ty Davis-Price, Trey Sermon have been playing well, the latter of which, Sermon, catching some balls out of the backfield, making some guys miss in some instances. Now, that's something interesting. We'll continue to monitor that. Jeff Wilson does have a lot of talent, but he has been injured a lot throughout his NFL career. So that does it for our winners and losers segment here on the show. Before we hop on out of here, I want you to name your top winner and your top loser in the comment section. Faithful, show up, show out, chime in, and join the conversation. Okay, we're going to continue to keep it moving here on the 49ers Report. We have a lot of Super Chats to catch up on. Can we do that in our next mailbag? I think a few of them we can catch up on our next mailbag, and then we can just probably do the shotgun after that if we really want to. Well, here, let's do this one. Let's just run through them all. Screw it. Dave in the Desert, $10 Super Chat. Cheers, Chase. Do it. I'm going to have to shotgun a beer now because we surpassed $50 in Super Chat. So, Dave in the Desert, thank you for that. Hitman L with the $2 Super Chat. Deebo. Oh, Deebo. Oh. So there's that celebration for Deebo. If you want that one, type 1 in the comment section. This is for our watch parties. Or do you want this one, type 2. Deebo, 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 Deebo. Deebo, Deebo. Deebo, 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 Deebo. Deebo, Deebo. Which one do you want? 1 or 2? We got to figure that out before preseason play gets underway, before Deebo Samuel starts scoring some tutties. Ellis10 with the $2 Super Chat. Is there going to be a membership option soon? I don't think so, man. I mean, our business plan always changes as we adapt and evolve as a company, but we really like pushing out content for free. I understand there are some incentives and some specialties of there being a membership program, but I kind of like just being able to chop it up with as many people as possible, and that's what we're able to do on a show like this. So Ellis10, I'll remember that, and we'll see. But as of right now, no plan specifically to do that because we don't want to put our stuff behind a paywall. We want it to be free for everybody. Hitman L, $2 Super Chat, lock it in. Trey, 4,500 passing yards, MVP. I hope so. He throws for 4,500 yards. He might win MVP. Hitman L with another $5 Super Chat. Where are my Deebo haters at? He's going to look fat and slow in that end zone. 19 problems, but a wide receiver ain't one. That's good stuff right there. Might have to use that in a watch party as well throughout some of our play-by-play. Anthony with the 5-piece. What up, chat? With the weak offensive line, Deebo, Ayuk want to make up for it. Trey will have a long day. Offensive line has to get better. No question about that, Anthony. Offensive line right now, the biggest concern now that Deebo Samuel contract is done and over with. So the offensive line has to get better. The offensive line has to improve, and they have to start performing better. There's no question about that. Now, before I do this shotgun, going to be going live on call-in after our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up. I want all of you to join me. Chatsports.com/49ers call-in. You can call into the show for another live podcast. And also, we're about to do a mailbag. We just went through a bunch of questions and super chats, but continue to get those questions in. Hashtag 49ers or Super Chat to join our mailbags. And speaking of all of those Super Chats that came in, we got past $50, and we said because of Coop's compromise suggestion that if we got past $50, then I would shotgun a beer. If we get to $100, and right now we're $25 away, I'll shotgun another beer. So here's a shotgun for the faithful. This thing is extremely cold. It is not going to be pleasant on the way down, but I'm a ride or die. And I got to do it because I preach about being a real one. Everybody who sent in a super chat is certainly a real one, and we got to live up to the expectations. So going to try to do this as quickly as possible, even though this thing is cold. Yeah, producer Coop's going to get out the stopwatch. All right, here we go. On the crack.
No way.
How much? How much time? 3.8. That's not even my fastest. Grade the shotgun. A, B, C, D, or F. I've done sub 3 before. See what the game changer is. You got to get the foundation in the stomach. We had a nice little meal earlier from a great spot that some people had questions about, but I think it proved everybody wrong. But man, we got it down. Grade the shotgun A, B, C, D, or F. Another $2 super chat just came in from Ellis10. He said, smash that like button. Hit that thumbs up icon if you're enjoying the show. Can we get to 100 likes? We're at 72 right now with more than 200 people watching live. Raj, Moose Cow in the chat. Hitman L giving me an A. Gaming with Nate 25, also an A grade. I see Wheezy Arlo use the hashtag 49ers. We're going to include you. At least try to include everybody who sent in a question on our mailbag. Caesar, what's good? The questions we can. The ones that are questions, we can certainly include those super chats in our mailbag to give you guys some further love. A high-quality shotgun experience from DM. TC said B. Nicholas Linton, A. Daniel Buck, where's the Jack? You know, I'll drink whiskey from time to time. More of a tequila guy. Whiskey at 4:30 Central, I don't know about that. A, but if you shake the beer first, you can get a sub in 2 seconds. Oh, if you can get sub 2 seconds. Yeah, but then the walls here at Chat Sports, the set, there'll be beer everywhere. I should have done that once the Niners beat the Packers, in hindsight. That would have been pretty lit. A, bang bang from Jamie Bryant. Chua Lore, C. Terrence Robinson, A. BK from the Bay, A. Hey, $25 away from $100 in Super Chats. We get to $100, I'm doing another shotgun. So $25 away, we can get there with the combination of Super Chats, or we can get there with one big one. So faithful, we'll continue to party and chop it up and talk Niners right here on the program. As for what we're getting to next on our live show, a mailbag where I take all of your questions and all of your best takes and analysis. So without further ado, let's get to it and hop into it right now. The 49ers Report is sponsored today by Mint Mobile. They're changing the cell phone game with plans starting as low as $15 per month. If you want to start saving money today, you can do so by plugging in that link at the bottom of your screen, mintmobile.com/chatsports. What's also cool about Mint Mobile, unlimited talk and text, America's largest 5G network. You don't have to change your cell phone number or get a new physical phone. And because they have these digital eSIM cards that they will mail to you, you don't have to go to a store, so you don't have to waste your time. One more time, mintmobile.com/chatsports. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. We kick off this mailbag with this one coming in from Hitman L to $2 super chat. Thank you so much for your donation, my brother. Lock it in. Trey Lance going to have 4,500 passing yards and win MVP this year. If Lance goes on to have a debut starting season and he throws for 4,500 yards, he'll be in the MVP conversation. I'm hoping that Lance throws for, let's say, 3,500 to 4,000 yards and ideally 27 passing touchdowns to like 10 interceptions. That's my ideal debut season for Lance, because I don't know if he's going to have to do all that much or if he's going to have a bunch on his plate, nor do I think he needs to, because the rest of this roster is really built up. But Hitman L, he goes on to have a season like that, San Francisco's going to be in a great position. Julian Rost, certainly a real one. Chase, who replaces Hurst? Robert Nkemdiche? He's really the most notable name to replace Hurst. Not too many concerns about Eric Armstead's knee injury. He is expected to be okay. Just kind of hurt his knee a little bit during practice last week. He's just sitting out for maybe a couple of weeks. But Nkemdiche is really the big name who could replace Mo Hurst along that defensive line. They did sign Hassan Ridgeway. They could also do what they did a lot of last year and run that NASCAR package where they take edge rushers and move them to the inside. Arden Key did that. Eric Armstead did that. Charles Ameni, who is a candidate to kind of occupy that role. Same can be said for Jordan Willis. If Javon Kinlaw has a great year, then we're really not having many concerns about that defensive tackle position. So those are guys who could replace Hurst and then help fill the void of him going out again. And it's unfortunate for him. Had a really good preseason last year, battled that calf injury, and then this year he tears his biceps. Christian Zulowiski with this question: who is going to be the number 3 wide receiver behind Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, not including the tight ends? It's a little bit of a competition right now, but I think at the end of the day, and once training camp concludes, it's going to be Jawan Jennings' job. And I like the size that he gives you operating out of the slot at about 6'3". He really emerged last year, especially toward the tail end of the regular season into the playoffs, as a really good security blanket for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think he's a good weapon to have in that sense for Trey Lance, a possession wide receiver, a chain mover who gives you good size coming out of the slot, where you can get some favorable matchups going up against a shorter DB, maybe even a slower linebacker, contested catch guy. He was so good on 3rd and 4th downs last year. So I think it's going to be his job to lose. Other guys in the mix, Danny Gray, who did have a good practice for the first time on Tuesday, and then Ray McLeod. But I think Ray's a little bit more of a gadget guy, and then Danny Gray might not be ready to play. My guess, Jawan Jennings. Speaking of Trey Lance, where do you think he will rank among all quarterbacks in 2022? Fill in the blank for me and let me know. Ryan Payne, who do you think is winning a fight, Fred Warner or Brandon Ayuk? That question coming in because during Tuesday's practice session, Fred Warner and Brandon Ayuk did get into a little bit of a fight. Now, this all stems from Fred Warner continuing to challenge Brandon Ayuk throughout this offseason. He was asked why he continues to kind of pester Brandon Ayuk. He said, I think that he's on the verge of becoming a great player and he's about to break out. And I like that iron sharpens iron type of mentality. But who would win in a fight? I'm going Fred Warner. He's a defensive player. To be a middle linebacker, you just have to be wired a little bit differently in between the ears. That's not to take anything away from Brandon Ayuk. But Fred Warner is Fred Warner, and he's an all-time dog and really, really physical. Mayday 49, do you feel that Russell Wilson will be rejuvenated with the Broncos and once again be a pain for the 49ers? That's going to be a really critical game in the first month of the season as San Francisco goes on the road to the Mile High City to once again take on Russell Wilson. And throughout his entire career, since he came into the league, since being a 3rd-round pick back in 2012, he has dominated San Francisco. Is that going to continue even though he's rocking a different jersey? Hopefully not. I mean, Russell Wilson, in my opinion, he's like a top 5 quarterback. So he has a really good complementary cast. It looks as though Tim Patrick going to be lost for the year. Producer Coop, is that official with that torn ACL? So Tim Patrick, a really good weapon for Russell Wilson, but he still has Cortland Sutton, He has Jerry Jeudy, Albert Okwuegbunam, a really good run game led by Javonte Williams. The offensive line, a little bit of a concern, but the defense is really good too. I really don't expect San Francisco to go on the road to beat the Broncos. I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm right, the Russell Wilson dominance will continue. Hitman L, $10 super chat coming in. Our boys are signed. The drama is gone. Let's enjoy the show. All-Pro Fred, All-Pro Deebo, All-Pro Williams, All-Pro Snub Bosa, over-the-middle Kittle. Defense is going to be scary. It's trade day now. And it's important for San Francisco to get these deals done. And this is why you subscribe to the channel. I told you all along I thought Deebo was going to come back to the Niners, and I had mentioned to you, and we continued to look at that graphic of when these contract extensions had happened for the Niners. George Kittle, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, all within a couple of weeks' range, either in July or August, as to when they got those contracts. So when we approach this same point next year with Nick Bosa, and a deal isn't done in mid-July, let's not start talking about some trade rumors of Nick Bosa, of him getting sent somewhere, or talk about him leaving this team and being disgruntled. The way that the Niners do business historically is they get these deals done in July and August. And these contractual disagreements have happened before. It happened with Jerry Rice back in the day, with previous ownership. It happens because this is a business at the end of the day. Hitman Al with the $10 super chat, bringing the best energy so far of the show. What do you think of that Deebo contract, though? I want you to just give me your honest thoughts on it. P for pricey, B for bargain. I'm going to type my B for bargain. I think it's a really discounted rate to have Deebo Samuel under $24 million when a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's more of just a speed threat, is making $30 million. Devontae Adams at 28. You get Deebo less than 24. Also, if the injuries continue to rear its ugly head and he does get hurt, it's only a 3-year extension. So you don't have a bunch of money backloaded onto the deal that prohibits you in the future. And in a couple of years, as the salary cap continues to go up year after year, this deal will actually be a pretty good discounted rate for Deebo if he continues to play like he did last year. And the incentivized language in the contracts also points to something interesting, that he might be used a little bit in the run game as well. Today's show sponsored by Mint Mobile, America's largest 5G network, unlimited talk and text, high-speed data. You get a mobile hotspot, all for $15 per month. You may have heard of them before. It's a cell phone company owned by the famous actor Ryan Reynolds. And for a long time, I was on my family plan with my dad, my sister, my stepmom. I told my pops, I got to start saving money during this period of inflation when everything is expensive, especially airlines and everything in general. I'm looking to cut costs, Dad. And I said, I got to get off the family plan. So I made the switch to Mint Mobile because $15 as compared to $100 per month without changing my cell phone number. Let's face it, I'm a popular guy. I don't want to lose my contacts, and I don't want people thinking that they're hitting me up and hitting up some random person somewhere. All the benefits of Mint Mobile. Head to mintmobile.com/chatsports. Start saving money today. I know a lot of our subscribers have made the switch. They've commented in the comment section. They have no regrets. Jamie Bryant, Chase. Will Kyle have a decent game plan for Trey? Nothing too crazy for him to get his confidence up and play Niner football, or throw everything at him to see what he's got? I think Lance wasn't ready for that first start against the Cardinals, which is why you saw so many design quarterback runs. If Kyle Shanahan is smart, and I believe he's a very smart head coach, he's going to ease Trey Lance in. And he has the luxury of doing that because of how this roster is built, how this roster is put together. Really good skill position players and an excellent defense where Lance does not have to throw the football 30 to 50 times per game. If you keep him at that 20 to 30 range, like Jimmy Garoppolo throughout his career, especially back in 2019, and you rely on a really good ground game and a really good defense, you're going to allow Trey Lance to get his feet wet, his feet underneath him, the confidence moving. He's going to learn what the quarterback position is like. And then bit by bit, you start taking the training wheels off, and I think that's the best path for success for Trey Lance. And you get that ground game going, that's what opens up that play action. And so far throughout training camp, Lance, he's been dropping dimes on those deep balls. Wheezy Arlo, if it's Wheezy after Lil Wayne, good choice by you. One of the best rappers of all time. In that 2010 range, my goodness, Lil Wayne was phenomenal and probably the best rapper at that time. If it's just Wheezy because it's Arlo, all good, homie. Do you think Kittle will have a 2019 season this year? Maybe. And I'm not too concerned about, like, if Deebo Samuel gets 1,000 yards or Brandon Ayuk gets 1,000 yards or Kittle gets 1,000 yards. I care about winning games. I care about a functional offense. Kyle Shanahan is going to want to run the football a lot because that's what the backbone of this offense is. So if Kittle doesn't have a 2019 season, that's okay. Last year he had more than 800 yards, and throughout that stretch, especially that game against the Bengals and a couple of games before that and after that, he legitimately was the best tight end in the NFL. He's been voted the best tight end in the NFL by that ESPN poll. If he doesn't have 1,000 yards, it doesn't mean he's not the best tight end. Now that Gronk is out of the league, George Kittle is the most well-rounded, most diverse, and best all-around tight end in the National Football League. BK from the Bay, last question in this mailbag. Chase, where do you think that Jimmy's next team will be? Man, I could see it being the Seattle Seahawks. If they just decide to wait until Garoppolo is released and then they're able to get him for free, I could see that happening. I could see an injury somewhere else happening at the quarterback position where a playoff-ready team is ready to make a trade. Now, I'm not sure what those injuries are going to be and where they might take place, of course, because I'm not a genie, although sometimes I think my analysis looking into the future is pretty damn good. But let's say that Tua struggles, Miami. Let's say that Mac Jones gets injured or he struggles. Could the Patriots trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Because we know Belichick is always trying to win. Houston, I think, is always a viable spot. New Orleans Saints with Jameis Winston. They're a really expensive roster. Cleveland Browns, if Jacoby Brissett gets injured. It looks as though up to this point they're fine with Brissett, but if they want to move off of him or if he gets injured and he's not playing well, Garoppolo makes a lot of sense to help you survive 6 games without Deshaun Watson after that suspension. So those are the types of destinations that I see potentially for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, before we hop on out of here for this mailbag, appreciate all of your questions, appreciate all of your super chats. If you're subscribed to the channel, the largest 49ers News and Rumors channel on YouTube, north of 60,000 subs, as our content continues to ramp up in the lead up to the preseason and regular season with training camp here. I want you to type real one in the comment section if you're a loyal subscriber, because we here at Chat Sports, me here on the 49ers Report, greatly appreciate you. Okay, we are $5 away from a second shotgun. I said earlier, we get to $50, shotgun and a beer. We get to $100, we're shotgun and 2 beers. $5 away from $100 in super chats. And in case you're just joining us, 1 shotgun down the hatch. We'll do another one with the $5 super chat because that will get us to a stack in supers on today's live show. 251 people watching live right now. Greatly appreciate all of you for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. Chew Allure is a real one. Hitman L, you just asked how much money for a super chat. I got you, $5. Jimmy Garillo, can't wait to see him without Kyle. Jimmy needs Kyle Shanahan. I'm fascinated to see how Jimmy Garoppolo fares without Kyle Shanahan as well. What'd you say? Phillies? Are they really? I'd rather go Rodon, but interesting. Who's that coming from? Okay, interesting. David Corona, real one. What Noodle 187, your super chat did come in. We got to show What Noodle 187 super chat. He sent in a 10-piece. Hitman L sent one in. Let's catch up on those in the meantime. Oh, we're 7 cents away from $100. Let's just say that's $100, right? But if we get another one to get us past $100, we greatly appreciate that. What Noodle, never forgot about you, man. We're going to catch up on the super chats eventually, but let's get to it right now. It's not just the Niners training camp. It's training camp for you, Chase, as well. So, Chase, drink up. I like how you think there. I really like how you think. Hitman L getting us to that century mark. Fine, I'll do it myself. Thanos voice. I don't know about the Thanos voice. Do you know about the Thanos voice? Yeah, I'm not a big Avengers guy. Is there a specific voice that he has? Fine, I'll do it myself. Oh, is he like the Rocky-looking guy? Okay, I know Thanos. Hitman L, good stuff right there. I'm just asking for another beer so we can get this shotgun down. No, I'll have Seeps. Yeah. We'll get that beer in here since we got to $100 in Super Chats. $99.93 to be specific. So who wants to push us up over the century mark? 49ers country, let's ride. Terrence Robinson, drink time, Chase. Jamie Bryant, later, Chase and chat. Have a nice afternoon. See you, Jamie. Thank you for tuning in today. Mayday, real one. Terrence Robinson, real one. Jamie Bryant, real one. Jabril Harris, Eddie Griss, all real ones as well. Thank you, Seeps. It is warm. $100 in soups. BK from the Bay, San Francisco. Second shotgun of the day because we are real ones, speaking of real ones. Coop's going to time it again. What was the first one? First one was 3.8. 3.8 on the first shotty. So we're going to try to beat that number with this one. I got my work cut out for me. Now, we still have another segment to get to, then our call-in segment. So we're going to continue to keep it moving. All right, on the crack. Did we beat it? 2-7. Let's go. By the way, nothing in there. So, it's not water. Some people like to say it's water. It ain't water. You see the beers there. Eddie Griss, real one. Chase's favorite Spanish tutor. Toby Maguire. Jabril Harris, how to get your questions on the big board. Hashtag 49ers. But now that our mailbags are done, if you send in a super chat, guaranteed to answer your questions. So whatever question you have for me, Jabril, it can be 99 cents. Guarantee you will answer it with a super chat. Now that our mailbags are done, those who don't super chat us, they use the hashtag 49ers are featured on the show. But we just did a mailbag. So if you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, send us in a super chat, and we'll for sure answer it. I'll do my best to look at the comment section, Jabril, though, and if you have that question, let me know, and I'll do my best, as the comment section is kind of going fast here, to get to it. Going live on call-in after the show. Make sure you tune in, and you can call in to the program, chatsports.com/49ers call-in. It's like Twitter Spaces, but even better. As for what we're getting to next, going to talk about Deebo Samuel and how there's specific language in that contract that could point to Deebo Samuel's role being a lot like it was a year ago, even though there were those crazy rumors that Deebo Samuel no longer wanted to be used as a wide back. So we're going to dive into that right now. If you haven't subscribed, do so right now. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. The more super chats that we get, the more drinks that we take down before our call-in show. But still, one segment left on our YouTube and Rumble show. So let's get to it right now. The big question that we're trying to tackle on today's 49ers report, following Deebo Samuel's 3-year contract extension, which makes him one of the top 10 highest paid wide receivers in the National Football League, what will his role be in 2022, as well as moving forward in this 49ers offense? Because there's language in that contract that tells a very interesting story. You're watching the 49ers report by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. If you want free daily videos covering all of the latest 49ers news and rumors and watch parties once the games begin, hit that red sub button down below. As for the specifics of that Deebo Samuel contract, here they are right here. It's going to be a 3-year contract extension in case you missed it. Total money, $71.5 million. Guaranteed cash, $58 million on the dot nearly. And then an average annual value of just shy of $24 million. And so far throughout this offseason, after Christian Kirk overturned the wide receiver market, we were talking about Deebo Samuel being somewhere on this list among the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL in terms of average annual value. Specifically and precisely, he comes in right there ahead of Terry McLaurin and DJ Moore. On an AAV standpoint, he's not up there with Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, or Stephon Diggs, but you can make the argument him being a scheme fit, he's a better scheme fit than a lot of the players on this list, and his impact and his role on this offense is absolutely critical. And are any of these players on this top 10 list of highest paid wide receivers doing the special things, the one-of-one attributes that Deebo Samuel is able to bring to the football field? Now, the reason that we're posing that question that I asked you earlier, what is Deebo's role going to be, is because of that rumors that happened and came forward and came to light after the Deebo Samuel trade demand was officially made public, that he was unhappy with his role. But it doesn't make sense, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But some of you right now are probably saying, okay, since Deebo Samuel got the bag, since he got that new contract, more long-term financial stability, because he was going into the final year of his rookie deal with no stability after that, of that base salary of $3.9 million, he's only going to be a wide receiver. But again, there's fine print in that contract that shows that Deebo Samuel could occupy a role this year and moving forward that's very reminiscent of what we saw him be in 2021, one of the most special and unique seasons we've ever seen from any wide receiver in the history of the NFL. As for that specific language, Deebo Samuel, and I think this is pretty fascinating, will receive $650,000 for each year on the contract that he has 380 rushing yards or more. He will also earn $150,000 if he scores 3 rushing touchdowns in any year. And all of this adds up to give Deebo maxes at $650,000 per year and almost $2 million over the entire contract. And that's a lot of money at the end of the day. And for Deebo, now that he has that guaranteed money, now that he has that financial wiggle room as we progress into the future, is he going to be more willing, and just willing in general, to have the role that he had last year at that wide back spot where he plays wide receiver, he plays a little bit of running back, and then when the Niners need a big special teams play, he goes back there on kick returns as well. His value to this team from an overarching standpoint really is unique, it's special, and that's why I thought all along he deserved to get paid. Now, of course, the injury issues are a little bit of a concern, but you pay special, and Deebo Samuel, no doubt, is special. Now, coming up in just a few moments, we're going to take a look at the numbers and how those financial incentives might stack up with what Deebo did last year. But first, which role do you want to see Deebo playing in this upcoming season? WR for strictly wide receiver. Stop putting him in the backfield to conserve that body given the physicality that he plays with. Or do you want to see him maximize his talents in Kyle Shanahan's offense and play wide back? If that's the case, type WB. Still so much more left to get to on the show. But first, every single time we go live on YouTube as well as Rumble, we've been doing live podcasts on Callin, which, if you're not familiar, it's like Twitter Spaces, but even better, where you have the opportunity to call into the show, interact with me, ask me questions, or you can basically say whatever you want on an open dialogue and open format. Live podcast every week. And once the preseason games are here, once the regular season is here, those rooms are going to be popping because we're going to be chopping it up, talking about and reacting to a 49ers win, hopefully, or a 49ers loss, which the conversation can certainly get colorful. Chatsports.com/49ersCallin. Download the app on your iPhone or Android device. And when you do that, make a profile so that you can also call into the show. Now we go back to that fine print in that contract. Here are the figures to keep in mind. Then we'll take a look at what Deebo did last year to see how this stacks up with the numbers that he put forward. 380 or more rushing yards, he gets that amount of money. 3 rushing touchdowns in any year. And then the added incentives for Deebo, it allows him to kind of have that comfort of mind of if he gets hurt, it's going to be okay because he got all that guaranteed cash. As for what he did in the air last year, really was special. 77 catches, 1,400 yards, 18 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. But here's where things get interesting. 56 carries, 365 yards, 8 touchdowns, average yards per carry of 7. So he would surpass that rushing touchdowns number easily, and he'd be right around that number if he were to rush for as many yards as he did last year. And I think it got somewhat overblown with how much Deebo was used as a running back last year, he really only had 365 rushing yards. And in the playoffs, he, of course, was used a lot in that running back role. But he's going to hover around that number, and sometimes he might not come close if, for this offense, it's of the greater benefit for him to play wide receiver. From my perspective, I always thought that the Deebo Samuel rumors about him complaining about his usage were garbage for a couple of reasons. Because if Deebo Samuel were to get his wish, if in fact he wanted to get traded, and that trade request were to come to fruition, the team that was trading for Deebo and the acquiring organization were going to want to use him in the same role that San Francisco utilized him in Kyle Shanahan's offense in 2021 because he's so special and unique as a wide receiver and running back hybrid. So I always thought that those rumored complaints were garbage because the acquiring team was going to want to utilize him in the same role because he's one of the most unique, special players in the National Football League. And part of what makes Deebo Samuel special is that versatility. It's that game-breaking ability. Last year, he bailed the Niners offense out on multiple occasions, late in games or when they had grown stagnant as an offense and failed to move the football. He would catch a bubble screen and take it to the house 45 yards like he did in the NFC Championship game. He would take a pitch like he did against the Cowboys in the wild card round and scamper, maneuver his way through the defense, and take it to the promised land for a momentum-changing touchdown. And now Deebo Samuel, if he was worried previously with the lack of future financial security about him getting banged up, given the bruising and physical style in which he plays with, he has $58 million in guaranteed money on this contract. So for Deebo, go be great and do what makes you one of one. And last year, you set yourself up for this payday because of you being a game breaker, you bringing to this offense what we haven't seen a wide receiver do in the history of the NFL. You literally invented a new position, and that new position set you up to get $58 million in guaranteed money. And now that you lock down that contract extension, if Kyle Shanahan wants to utilize you from time to time as a running back, do it. If the team needs a big play, you talk about being a big-time player and everybody supporting one another, go back there for a kick return. If you can alter the momentum of a football game. And as a wide receiver, since you came into the league in that 2019 draft class, he leads the NFL in yards after the catch. What makes you special is what got you paid, Deebo Samuel. So do what makes you one of the most unique offensive players that we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. Now, before we hop on out of here, I want to challenge everybody in the comment section right now. Predict Deebo's 2022 receiving and rushing stat line. I want you to look into your crystal ball and envision what Deebo Samuel can do this upcoming season. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the 49ers Report. Okay, we'll give you some shout-outs here. Also, I put up my thoughts on the Deebo Samuel contract on my Twitter and Instagram. Now that training camp is here, I've been pushing out a bunch of new content on my Twitter and Instagram pages. If you guys want to show me some love, give me a follow and like some of that stuff at Chase_Senior. It's the same handle on both social media platforms. Do greatly appreciate all of the support on social media. It's been an absolute blast being able to chop it up with the faithful on the 49ers Report, both on YouTube, Rumble, and Callin, but also on Twitter as well. So at Chase_Senior, give me a follow. Same social media handle on both platforms. Oh, I know. You'll also see me with a clown face because maybe we can we throw that here, I'll put it in photos real quick. I did a little video on my Twitter page earlier just addressing all of the Trey Lance hate, and I had to put on this clown mask because everybody who's a Trey Lance detractor, you're kind of just a clown in my book. So I'll show you the picture here in just a second. We're just going to put it into the system here to show you what I was talking about. But if you go to my Twitter page, at Chase_Senior, you'll be able to see yourself. I'll put it in photos here, Coop. Probably just a photo left vert will do. Just save that in there. So that'll load for producer Coop, and I'll give my message to all of the Trey Lance haters out there. Here you go. If you're a Trey Lance hater, you're just a clown. So much clown talk on my Twitter page, both in my mentions and just on my Twitter feed. Everybody who doesn't like Lance comes up with an excuse for him and comes up with some bit of negativity and criticism that doesn't make a lot of sense. He'll throw a deep ball to Brandon Ayuk like he did over the weekend, off his left foot, across his body, in stride, over the outstretched hands of Charvarius Ward. And people are like, I don't know, the ball was a little bit wobbly. I don't know, Jim. Then he'll throw a back corner ball to Ayuk over Jimmy Ward, which is one of the most difficult throws to make for a quarterback because, think about it, goal line situation. You take the snap, one-step drop, you throw it back into the corner. That requires anticipation, accuracy. You have to loft that ball. If you throw it a little bit low, defender's picking it off. He throws that ball to Ayuk right over Jimmy Ward, one of the best safeties in the NFL, who covers that route all the time. And people are like, it's not one of the toughest throws to make for an NFL quarterback. He displays pocket movement and pocket mobility where he's climbing the pocket. He's still looking, going through his progressions, and then he takes off. And I use the term tuck and run because that's the term for a quarterback who decides to take off out of the pocket once there's pressure generated. And somebody was like, he didn't tuck it. He was holding the ball way too loose. Like, really, guys? It's almost as if everything that Lance does, something has something bad to say about it, even when he does good things. I just don't understand it. So for the Trey Lance haters, there you go. Clown. You'll see the video on my Twitter page at Chase_senior. Coop, you're going to have to get that. Do have a super chat coming in from Ellis. I do have a little bit of this beer left after I shotgunned a couple. That officially gets us over $100. 101 to be official. Ellis 10, you're a real one. Respect for calling out the Trey Lance haters. Hey, I had to. You see the clown emojis in the chat. Where's that little, you see that little thing? All right, what we're about to do now, going to start the call-in room because we're going to do a live podcast on the call-in app. I want all of you to join me. I'll be taking your calls for a half hour straight. So I'll start the call-in room. We'll get that link into the chat so that you can join the show, and then we'll do our live podcast. But no commercial breaks here on the 49ers Report. So, Ellis, thank you for that super. Definitely drink into that. Pulling up call-in. We are officially live on the call-in app. To join me, chatsports.com/49erscallin, or click on the link in the chat right now. A lot of people are already piling into the room. I see my boy David already hop into the caller queue. Jeffrey, Rick, Evan, L.A. already joining the program. Live podcasts on Callin, which is like Twitter Spaces, but even better, where you can actually call into the show and join the program. I will set a 2-minute warning for any more Super Chats on YouTube, and if we don't get any more Super Chats on YouTube, we will pivot exclusively to Callin. So I am going to bring up the timer here. I'm going to start the clock. If we don't get any more Super Chats in 2 minutes, then we're going to pivot to do our live podcast on Callin. Seeps is putting the link in the chat so that you can join the live podcast as well. Going to talk about this fight at training camp, which is pretty interesting for a couple of reasons. And then I'm going to take your calls. We'll be live for about 35 minutes on the Callin app, so I hope all of you join us. But once we do that, we are going to sign off right here on YouTube as well as Rumble to go live exclusively on Callin. So a couple of people already in the caller queue. I'm seeing David, Asaya, Evan, Drew, Draco. Get that comment section going as well, just like the Islick Rick. Good evening, Chase, as well as the Niner gang. Other people who were tuning in I'll give you shout-outs as well. Rick and a couple of others, in addition to the people who I just talked about. Join us live on call-in for yet another podcast where you can call into the show. It's like a sports talk radio show. So if we don't get any more Super Chats, then we will sign off here. I'm looking at my clock. We have 50 seconds to receive any more donations on the 49ers Report, and if we don't get those, we will sign off on call-in. Thanks to everybody who sent in a Super Chat on the show today. Do appreciate all of your support of everything that we do, and if you think about it, it's only getting started. Shout out Big Cease and Aaron from Caesar. I got you. El Hector is here. 49ers Adam. I'm looking for that question earlier from my guy. Let's see if he got it in. Mr. Block Ice, Terrence Robinson, Tony, Golden Dragon, Eddie Griss. Let's see. Just got another Super Chat. Let's see. What was that Super Chat that I was looking for a little bit earlier? Or no, it wasn't a Super Chat. It was just a comment. Yeah, you were asking how to get your question on the show. I'm trying to find your name there. I can't find it. Was it Terrence? Maybe. Either way, how you get on the show? Guaranteed. You send in a Super Chat because we feature all Super Chats on the 49ers Report. What's your running back lineup and wide receiver depth charts, 1 through 4? Running back lineup, Elijah Mitchell. I'm actually going to go Ty Davis Price 2, Trey Sermon 3. Shelf Wilson edges out Jermichael Hasty at 4. And then for wide receivers, that's actually kind of easy. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings. Let's go Ray McLeod over Danny Gray. That's my 1 through 5. So I give you a bonus option there. So Ray McLeod beats out Danny Gray. He hasn't really done much, Ray McLeod, but he's one of the best returners in the NFL. More people hopping into the caller queue. We'll be answering your calls for about a half hour straight. And then Rick, Edgar, Richard, and Jeremy also tuning in. For the 3+ others, make a profile right now. You see that your name isn't popping up. Make sure you make a profile on call-in. Therefore, you can join our live podcast on the weekly basis. We're going to sign off on YouTube as well as Rumble. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. $100 in soups. We had a nice little party on a Tuesday. And, hey, keep an eye out for future great